Well, this is JC now. This is chapter 5 in a book that I'm writing entitled Todd. Um, we just finished chapter 4, and if you recall, in chapter 4, Todd met a young woman in a park where he walks on occasion, and it seems like this is going to turn out to be the love of his life so far. So far, so good. Now they spent the afternoon together, part of it, and it's time for them to go back to their respective homes. And now, of course, Todd, being the practical person he is, it begins to have thoughts about, well, you know what, I wonder if I'm going to have to tell some things. Anyhow, without further ado, you can go back and go over chapter 4, the last of it, if you care to. I'll just go on from here. And this is chapter 5, Todd. This was a thought Todd did not want to entertain right now. So I'm only 12 and a half years old. So what? She doesn't know it, and if she's getting as much enjoyment from being with me as I am with her, then what kind of an AH would I be to pull the rug out from under her and myself? Let's just go ahead on just as we are and see what happens. It couldn't be too bad. Okay, now Todd had made his decision, and he decided to just forget about it as well as he could, anyhow. Todd realized he had just kissed a stranger. He didn't even know her name. He looked quizzically at her and started to speak. She stopped him in mid-word and said, "You can call me honey or sweetie or darling or whatever. My friends and family call me Leslie, or just Les. Leslie Ann Jensen." He started to speak, and again she cut in. "Oh, Todd Daniels, I know your name. I checked up on you because I wanted to know with whom I was about to fall in love." A very serious expression came on her face. "A girl can't be too careful," she said, with a sly grin. He responded, "Neither can a guy." And they both began to laugh. Still smiling, Leslie said, "This smacks of utopian. Look it up." He said, "No need to. It's Orwellian, maybe," Todd responded. "Now you look it up." Anyhow, Leslie stopped smiling. She actually knew very little about this new man in her life, she had decided. She had asked around enough to be aware of his name and that he was an only child, and about the recent tragedy in his life, the loss of loved ones. She wondered if he were still in school, and if so, which school. She had been attending the local junior college and figured he was well beyond junior college, maybe a college student. Todd spoke then, as if dispelling her curiosities, her caution. "I was homeschooled after the third grade. My mom wasn't satisfied with the progress or the lack of progress of the school I attended. So she thought I could do better at home. So here I am, a homeschool boy, ready for the world and all the challenges it presents." He hesitated, getting too specific. To sidle away from the homeschooling subject, Todd asked, "Do you like poetry?" "Man's love is of man's life apart. It is a woman's whole existence. In her first passion, a woman loves her lover. In all the others, all she loves is love," quoth Les, with a wink and a grin. "And I plan on but once, only this time first and a last. Only you and Lord Byron could have said it so well, but I prefer the tent maker. A book of verses underneath the bough, a jug of wine, a loaf of bread, and thou beside me singing in the wilderness. Ah, wilderness were paradise now, but I think with you it will be enough." Les hesitated before speaking again. Then she asked, "Do you know everything?" "Yes, just about," replied Todd without hesitation. "I believe you," she said. "How could you know everything?" she asked. "I read a lot," he replied. "It's most of what I do is homeschooling." She reached out and took his hand into hers. "I could easily be serious about being with you forever. Could you feel the same?" Todd was feeling this was escalating much too quickly. He had to create, if not a roadblock, at least a speed bump. Tough question coming from someone I've known for an hour or so. "I'm certainly impressed with you and drawn to you, but forever? I'm sorry. What was your name again?" "Oh, yes, Honey." And then he smiled the biggest smile he could imagine and chuckled aloud, a small chuckle. Now it was her turn to blush. She drew her hand back and stiffened just a bit, at a loss as to how to take this. Was this jest on his part, or was he just subtly telling her he wasn't as interested as was she? He knew this could get out of control quickly, depending on what happened next. He reached over and took her shoulders in his hands and straightened them and gently pushed her back against the bench back. Then he told her to wait one moment. He would be right back. She didn't smile. She just nodded an assent and sat still. Todd turned around and walked a ways away from her. It occurred to her he might be leaving for good, but she remained quiet. When he reached the edge of the first shrub, he turned slowly and, looking around as if he had never been here before, began walking toward her. A surprised look came on his face when he got close to her, and he said, "Hello, have I seen you here before?" Then he waited for a response. Les slid to one side of the hard concrete park bench, and with her right hand patted the seat next to her and said, "No, you haven't, but I've seen you. Would you like to sit down here? There's plenty of room." Todd nodded and smiled. Les smiled. Then they both broke into laughter. Les stood up, and Todd reached for her and pulled her close in a big bear hug. She said, "Huff, easy there, partner. This ain't no bear you're a hugging." The next couple of hours they spent together were very relaxed. Les was fascinated about Todd's homeschooling. Did he have a curriculum, or did he just wing it? He admitted he more or less winged it. He went to the internet quite often, not only for answers, but to get ideas of what to teach himself next. Les asked why his mother or father hadn't done the teaching, and Todd was honest with his answer. He explained his mother didn't graduate high school, and his father was always far too busy at the store to take the time it would take. Besides, his father lacked the patience to undertake such a task. Mom tried it for a while at the beginning, but it became obvious she couldn't do it. I told him when I was starting the third grade that I would do it myself. They both agreed, and we all felt much better about everything. He didn't tell her he was only 4 years old at that time. "Are you still in school?" Todd asked. "Yes," she said. "I'm starting my third year of junior college, majoring in literature." "Wonderful," exclaimed Todd with a big grin. Todd became aware of something he had never felt before. His face, especially around the corners of his mouth, was starting to feel tired. He blurted out, "My face is getting tired." Les said, "Yeah, mine too. It's from laughing so much. I haven't laughed this much in a long time." Todd said, "I've never laughed this much either. Actually, I've never laughed at all. I guess it's something a person has to get used to." Les' face went blank. "You've never laughed?" "Nope, never had a reason to. But I do now." And he drew her close to him and kissed her gently. What a wonderful world this is, he thought. How could it be any better? Todd decided right then he would never be sad again, and he held her more tightly. They had been together for 3 hours now, 3 wonderful, exciting hours. Todd knew he should be getting back soon, or his mother would worry about him. He just started to say this to her when she said, "I want to meet your mother and your father." "And I'd love to meet yours," Todd replied. Les said, "I mean soon, today or tomorrow, or soon." She would never understand any hesitation on his part. So he said, "Of course, I'll check into their schedules and see what a good time would be. I know they will love you. And you do the same, okay?" Les smiled. And this is the end of chapter 5 of Todd JC Sings. Thank you very much.